Tonight on 5 News, the Southport attacks could and should have been prevented. That's the finding of an inquiry into the deaths of 3 girls killed during a dance class.
If sensible steps had been taken by the agencies and AR's parents, this dreadful event would not have happened.
Also on the programme tonight, Donald Trump orders the US Navy to blockade the blockade in the Middle East. Rory McIlroy celebrates a Masters double, and why more of us in the UK are getting bitten by spiders. Good evening and welcome to 5 News. The Southport attack could and should have been prevented. OK, Julian Drucker, thank you. That's Julian live in Liverpool for us tonight. Going to take you somewhere else, which is probably quite familiar to you at the moment. This is the Strait of Hormuz. Around 20% of the world's oil and gas flows through here. We are looking right now at a live image on the screen. If you look closely, all those dots you can see are ships. The cargo vessels are green, tankers are red, and the arrows tell you which ones are on the move. And for the past 6 weeks, only a tiny number have been allowed to pass through this part of water. Oh, Tessa's got more. She's live in our New Look studio tonight. And Tessa, one thing we've seen also over the last few days is like a back and forth between the President and the Pope.
Yeah, this was an extraordinary rant aimed at Pope Leo, the head of the Catholic Church. Last month, he had said that God rejects the prayers of leaders who start wars. At the weekend, he had called for peace.
There have been days of farmers' protests in Ireland over rising fuel costs, and that's also affecting businesses in the UK. Layla Hayes has been speaking to a garage in the West Midlands who are feeling the pinch. Right, let's bring you some more headlines tonight. And 2 teenagers are being held on suspicion of murder after a 16-year-old boy was stabbed and later died in Peterborough. Next tonight, the B word is back in the political spotlight. We are talking Brexit. Yeah, the Prime Minister has defended plans for the UK to automatically align more closely with some EU rules. This is welcome news for some businesses who trade in things like food and drink, but a few others, it's a return to something that the nation voted to leave behind. Thank you for that, Claire. It's just gone 5:30. Here in the screen are the top 5 things you need to know today. The public inquiry into the Southport attack says it could and should have been prevented. B.B. King, Elsie Stankham and Alice da Silva Aguiar died, and several others were injured in that attack nearly 2 years ago. President Trump's blockade of Iranian ports is underway. The US president says any Iranian ships caught trying to approach the blockade will be immediately eliminated. Back here with protest plans against rising fuel costs, the government's under increasing pressure to support businesses. About 20% of the world's oil and gas passes through that Strait of Hormuz we'll be talking about tonight. It's been blocked since the start of the war with Iran. Remember Brexit? Well, the government's looking at ways to adopt EU single market rules as part of a reset in relations. Keir Starmer says a stronger relationship with Europe is in the UK's best interests. And we've just seen Rory McIlroy, haven't we? Now a 2-time Masters champion, the Northern Irishman has become only the 4th golfer in history to successfully defend the title at Augusta. Now, what do you reckon to the idea of retiring after a lifetime of hard work only to return to the office a few months later? Well, a new survey has found that 1 in 6 retirees have already returned to employment. We're joined now by Morgan Vine. Lovely to see you, from the charity Independent Age, and they help people who are struggling with money who are a little older. What's this all about then, Morgan? Essentially, people retire and then they realise, do you know what, I've not actually got enough money to survive and live on.
Yes, that's exactly the kind of stories that we're hearing from older people who get in touch with Independent Age, getting to a point where they'd like to be able to stop working, but many of them have to carry on. And there's also lots of people who sadly can't carry on because they've got long-term conditions or disabilities.
Lovely to share a bit of time with you this evening. Hope you've enjoyed the New Look as well. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 on 5.